Shri Jayadev Galla.
Thank you, sir. Sir, the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, when it was passed, when it was passed, I was also very happy, very excited that such an act was coming into law. But having seen the experience over the last several years, definitely it requires to be looked at again, and some modifications definitely are required at this stage to ensure that it achieves all of the objectives that it was set out to achieve. Definitely there are some positives. Many of our members have talked about how it provides strength to the labor class to improve their wages. It gives additional income to rural families. It also reduces migration. But there are some specific negatives that I want to also talk about, which I feel need to be taken into account when looking at this act and how to improve the delivery of this act. The first, which has been talked about quite a bit, is that it doesn't seem to be creating any durable assets. The material and labor ratio is such that the amount of material that can go into any project is quite limited. And I think that one of the reasons for that has been, what I've read at least, is that to avoid corruption, they didn't want to put too much of material procurement into the act. But I think corruption is a different issue, and unemployment is a different issue. Creating durable assets definitely is something we need to be looking at. In addition to that, I think more flexibility to the local body, local governments to be able to select the type of works that they take up is also crucial. It's a one-size-fits-all scheme. Right from north to south, east to west, we're expected to have the same issues, same problems. That's not the case. And I think some flexibility to decide on what type of projects needs to be done as well, with an improved system to control material. The second item, it is definitely depleting the labor force, both from agriculture as well as from organized industry. And I think we have statistics to show that. In 2005, 26 crore people were employed in agriculture workforce. By 2010, it has come down to 24.5. And by 2014, it's come down to 23.6. So there's definitely a reduction in the number of people in the agriculture workforce. While this is not necessarily a negative trend, definitely with the number of people that India has in the agriculture workforce, it does have to be a declining number. It has to be moving people from agriculture workforce into both industrial, service sector, and self-employment. But at the same time, I think that how the agriculture sector is going to survive this reduction in workforce is something that needs to be looked at and planned, maybe not by this department, but certainly by the agriculture department, on how we're going to ensure a faster pace of mechanization in the agriculture sector, or any other steps that need to be taken as agriculture becomes more expensive and less available. Agriculture should not be made unviable. It has to be viable. We need food for this country, and so does the world. So how do we keep the agriculture sector viable while still providing this type of employment guarantee? Something that needs to be looked at. In industry also, I'd given the example on another occasion about my own company. When we had applied for, or we had actually done walk-in interviews in Tirupati for 2,000 workmen jobs, we received only 200 people walking in for those jobs. But for 200 engineering jobs, we received 2,000 applications and 2,000 people coming in. And I believe that the impact is definitely the MNREGA scheme also had an impact on that, where people were not preferring to move into organized workforce in spite of giving minimum wages and all other requirements that are meant to be given to the workforce. They preferred not to go into that area because they had other options. The third thing I'd like to point out, is if we look at the scheme, it's supposed to be an employment guarantee act, but it's actually propagating unemployment and underemployment, if you ask me. Today, you had 5.18 crore households participating in this scheme last year. 1.8 lakh crores has been spent since the beginning of the scheme started. In any given year, between 4 crores and 8 crore households are benefiting from this scheme. But all the people who participate, are they being made employable? I don't think so. If you look at the requirement for skilled workforce, by 2022, we need 3.3 crore people in the building and construction industry. We need 3.5 crore people in the auto and components industry. We need 10.3 crore people in the infrastructure industry. We need 1.3 crore in healthcare and 1.8 crore in transport and logistics. Just these industries alone amount to 20 crore skilled workforce that's required by 2020, which is not that far away. But the 4 to 8 crore households that are getting this benefit every year, how many of them are being trained to take up these jobs? How much of them are being skilled? I think that's a very low number, if any at all. And we need to see, how do we actually start spending this money to skill people, not just employing them, but making them employable in future, not just for government works that may or may not be of any use to society, but into the private sector, into the public sector, into various other sectors where they have skills and they will be employed to build value and wealth for the nation. So I think the focus should be shifting, rather than looking at giving money for unemployment, which is what this scheme is currently doing. It should be a bridge on how to move people from being unemployable to being employable. And money should be diverted into skill development to ensure that this happens. I think a friend of mine talked about rights, but I would like to also remind this House that along with rights, every citizen also has responsibilities. And being employable is definitely one of those responsibilities. Thank you.
Right. Sri M. Rajmohan Reddy.